Hi, I'm Zach with Coach House Motorhomes, and today I want to show you how we work our HWH hydraulic levelers and hydraulic push-out rooms. Now, luckily, we're in a Coach House Platinum. We don't have to bring any tools with us in order to achieve these little tasks. You don't have to have any wrenches or sockets or anything like that. All you've got to do is come on over here to what we refer to as the Tower of Power. So the Tower of Power is located here just to the left of our side entry door once we enter the coach. It'll have your HWH hydraulic controller as well as the controller to push out the rooms. And there's also some neat little gadgets in there that we're going to show you along the way too. So as soon as you get to the campsite, we've already done a video that kind of explains how to do the utility area, how to hook up your sewer hose, how to hook up your freshwater hose, and also how to dump those tanks and whatnot. So now we're going to focus primarily on the interior of the coach and what you're going to have to do as soon as you get to your campsite if you want to get your coach nice and leveled out and be able to expand your push-out rooms. So once you've moved the coach into your camping spot, that's when you can go ahead and start messing with your hydraulic levelers. And it's actually very simple. The first step is to make sure that your emergency brake is engaged and also make sure that your ignition is turned on. Now you don't need to turn the vehicle all the way on. You only need to turn it to the accessory position. And then you also want to make sure your emergency brake is engaged with that pedal on the far left. Once that's done, you can move on over to the Tower of Power and start putting your hydraulic levelers down. It's going to be very easy. We've got this nice HWH computerized leveling control panel located right here in your Tower of Power. And as simple as it is, let me kind of go over the basic functions of it. You've got your auto level button. You've got your auto store button. You've got your cancel if you're in the middle of doing anything. Perhaps maybe you didn't realize that somebody was underneath the coach and you went to go hit auto level. Hit this cancel. It'll completely cancel out any action that you were trying to perform. These little indicator lights will let you know if you have excessive slope. So I'll go into that here in just a second. This indicator light here lets you know that your parking brake has not been engaged, but luckily we went ahead and already did that. And then this indicator light will let you know if your hydraulic levelers are in travel mode. So basically it lets you know that they're completely stored up in the coach and you won't have to worry about hitting them on anything during your travels. Now these indicator lights, this is more going to tell you what's going on underneath the coach so you don't have to go out and look. So in each of these corners, as we start engaging these hydraulic levelers, these lights will light up, indicating that the hydraulic leveler has actually been deployed. These lights that you see in between will let you know where your slope is or where you're out of balance. So as you can see right now, we're going to need a little bit of help on the front end of the coach. So once we go ahead and start extending the hydraulic levelers, we're probably going to get a little bit more push from the front end, lifting up the front end because that's the area that needs its help. So let's go ahead and start auto leveling just by hitting this auto level button. And you can hear the pump is already engaging. There we go. We've got our two jacks have already sprung down and they're starting to engage. There we go. Now we're starting to feel the front end of the coach lift up. So now we're about level, but the rear jacks were not engaged yet. So now they're both going down. We've got our passenger side and our driver's side will be right after. So now these red lights are telling us that all four jacks are now in play and they're on their way down to the ground. And now it's going to start auto leveling the coach. And just like that, your coach is leveled and ready for camping. As I indicated when I was kind of explaining the panel, there's that light on there that will indicate when you've got excessive slope. Now, what is that? It's exactly like it sounds. It's excessive slope. So your coach is leaning a little bit excessively one way or the other. Now, that doesn't mean you can't level your coach. It just means you got a couple more steps you've got to follow. So those indicator lights that I showed you, the yellow one on the front, on either side, passenger and driver side, and then also on the back of the vehicle on the little diagram they've got there, that lets you know where the slope is taking place. So say we're in an area where there's excessive slope, and then we can see by those indicator lights that it's excessively sloped in the front. What you would do is go and actually need to put wood blocks underneath the individual hydraulic leveling jacks. So that way it'll give the jack enough throw to be able to lift the coach up to where it needs to be in order for you to have a nice level interior. So if you guys, as I've been explaining this, I'm sure you maybe heard the dinging coming from the driver's side. What that is, that's a neat little feature that Coach House installs. That is an indicator buzzer to let you know that your jacks are down so you don't make that goofy mistake and drive off with your jacks down. We've all seen that guy and we don't want to be him. So we've got that little buzzer to let us know that the jacks are down. Don't move your coach. If you hear that dinging, your jacks are down, make sure you retract them, put them back in travel mode, and then you can continue with leaving. So now that we've got our coach nice and level, now we can go ahead and expand out and push out our slide push out room. This particular coach is a Coach House 271, so it's got one front push-out room, but we do offer other models that've got two push-out rooms where you'll get a rear slide out as well. So engaging these slide outs is very, very simple. We use HWH hydraulics for both systems, so it's actually using the same pump to operate your leveling jacks as well as your push-out room. But all you've got to do is, again, go to your tower power. In this next lower panel, it's the HWH hydraulic room extension. Just make sure that this safety key is in the on position, and all you've got to do is hold the extend button. And there goes our room. And just like that, the interior of our coach has just doubled. How awesome is that? Once you've got the rooms out, you got your coach nice and leveled, the next thing you're probably going to want to do is put your awning out. So the only reason why I bring that up is because of the safety features that are built into both mechanisms. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky, so maybe in this video we can kind of simplify it for you. Remember, I had to engage the parking brake and I had to put the ignition in the accessory position in order for either of these items to be able to function properly. Your awning is going to have that same sort of safety features. You're going to have your emergency brake engaged, but you're actually going to have to turn the ignition off. The reason why that is, they don't want you to try to drive off with your awning out. We've seen that before too. You don't want to be that guy either. So we'll go ahead and shut the ignition off. And then once you've opened the side entry door, it'll go ahead and kill the ignition signal, which will turn off your radio and also turn off the buzzing that we were just listening to. Now that the ignition is off, we can move on over here next to the side entry door to where we've got our panel for putting out our awning. So we'll go ahead and hit the unlock button to unlock the awning. And all we've got to do is tap the op and bam. Now we can have a nice, luxurious camping experience underneath our super amazing outside awning. So now that we've showed you how to extend your push-out room, how to engage your leveling jacks, as well as how to extend your side awning, well, how do we go and retract all this stuff so we can go ahead and get on the way because we need to make it home for an important dinner? Well, it's easy as a push of a couple buttons. Back to the awning controller, all you've got to do is just tap this in button. And again, we want to have the ignition off and the emergency brake engaged. Tap that, and in comes our awning. So now that we're waiting for the awning to come in, remember the awning's got to come completely in because we've got to engage that ignition signal again in order for our HWH hydraulics to be able to engage. So let's go ahead and wait for the awning to retract all the way. Now that the awning is in, we got to go back to the ignition, make sure we engage that accessory ignition signal. You can have the ignition either an accessory or you can even have the coach engine running if you want. Either way, it doesn't matter. You just have to make sure we're getting that ignition signal. Okay. And there's our safety buzzer letting us know, okay, you're getting your coach fired up, but don't take off till those jacks are up. So we're going to go ahead and first bring in the push out room by just hitting this retract button. Look at how smooth that works. You're not going to get that with an electric slide, I can promise you that. Now that the slide out room is engaged, now how do we get all the jacks up? Well, we're going to get some wrenches and we're going to have to go out and manually, no, we don't have to do any of that. All we got to do is push our travel mode button. So let's go back on over here to the HWH computerized leveling. Remember the auto store? Well, that's all we got to do. Now all of our hydraulic jacks are retracting back up into the vehicle. And if you want, you can go ahead and watch this monitor panel. And each of these red indicators, as I said before, are telling you that those individual jacks are down. So as soon as these lights are no longer illuminated and our travel mode is illuminated, we're good to go. And just like that, we're retracted and ready to go and head on over to our next exciting camping adventure.